So thank you so much for being here. And this is the last session of the day. We're going to talk about data centers and whatever comes and goes around with it, right? And whatever services we need. I mean, I see here my friend Darwin from DKIC sitting here. So without him, I could throw away my cell phone, right? There you go. Would be easier in my life. Anyway, with 3 daughters, right? Anyway, so yeah, I'll give them a quick minute to introduce themselves. Then I will ask Emmanuel from Mediterra, who is also the sponsor of this session. So thank you so much for this one, Emmanuel. To do a quick presentation and to give us the latest on Mediterra and what they're doing and why they're doing it and should we need them and why should we need them. But we do, trust me. I come from the country where he puts it together. So yeah, so I'll give them a quick round, starting with Carlos. And who does not know Carlos? Then please listen up now. Over to you, Carlos, please.
Okay, so basically, as I said this morning, so repeating a little bit, story is the same. 25 to 26 years in the data center industry, more than 30 years on the IT industry. I founded the first neutral data center in Portugal. It's now an infrastructure from Equinix, and it has more than 70 networks interconnecting absolutely the entire ecosystem in Portugal. And with big news this Monday, we have the grand opening of LS2, so the second data centers, circa 3 times bigger than the first one. Looking forward to discuss Edge and how can we all contribute for the new world.
Okay, thank you so much, and fantastic having you. And you know what? In 3 years, you have to build another one. You know, so start planning. And good luck with filling the data center up, right? Because that's, by the end of the day, needs to be done. And I'm more than sure that you will succeed, like always, like always. There you go. You know, there you go. Darwin, over to you.
So we do need data centers, right? So data centers are our home. So thanks for building a new one. My name is Darwin Costa. I oversee DKIC's activities within the Southern Europe, Africa, and LATAM. And our biggest news is our marketing entry to Brazil and also to Doha.
Okay, good having you. Thank you for being here. Matthew?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Chigwende. I work for a company called Liquid Intelligent Technologies. It's part of the what we call Cassava Group. My role is I head up engineering. This is looking after a lot of things from IP transit and peering for the group. I also look after our subsea infrastructure, installing it and making sure it works, and also sourcing for capacity. I also look after what would besides the peering and IP transit. I also look after the new POPs that we are building. So we are building for Liquid, but mostly outside Africa. But on my day-to-day, I'm talking to someone in Africa at any time. And well, as you know, Liquid Intelligent Technologies, the whole network is in Africa, operating in about 16 countries from Southern Africa, East Africa, and now developing into West Africa. So that's where all our work is.
Thank you so much, Matthew, and good having you. And now let's go online to Nadia. Nadia, welcome. How are you? You're on mute. You're mute, Nadia. Maybe you can unmute yourself. I think it's 28 degrees here, so you don't have to be frozen. Oops. Okay. Well, wait for that until you're back, Nadia. I don't know if you can hear us, but let's go to my Italian right side now. Partly French, of course. Luciano.
I am Luciano Talarico. With my company Intendo, we are a telecom operator with a proprietary IP network in Italy, and we are moving on to data center, edge data center business in south part of Italy. I'm very close to Africa, I can say in in topic with this panel.
And which part of Italy, if I may say?
Calabria, south part of Italy.
The tough part.
Yeah, the sunny part.
And you know, the food in Calabria.
Very, very food.
It's fantastic.
Very good.
It's fantastic. And yeah, Emmanuel, please, the floor is yours.
So Emmanuel Becker, I am the CEO and founder of Mediterra Datacenters. So we are a new company because we started just last year, really 1 year in July this year. And I am a former colleague of Carlos, but not a former friend. And we
Now that hurts, right? Oh.
And so we are actually building a platform. I'll explain this a little bit later. But something which is very interesting we are seeing in this market is it's not only a matter of nationality, it's not only a matter of a language, it's a matter of collaborating together in what we are able to build together. This is what I'm very interested in.
Exactement. Exactement. Okay, I think we have Nadia back on the block. So Nadia, please mute. You're still on mute. Thank you. Please give us a quick intro from your side and welcome.
Eric, thank you. I think you did it on purpose. But okay, we've got bad blood between us, no problem. So my name is Nadia Ribeiro. I'm a senior counsel at PLMJ, Portuguese based law firm. And I work with telecoms, either with Portuguese companies and also with African companies. And I've been working in the sector for 20 years and so. And I also work with the data center related matters. So it will be a pleasure to be part of this discussion and talk to you about issues like data localization, interoperability between telcos and data centers. So I hope to share valuable insight and that we have a very fruitful discussion.
Thank you, Nadia, and thank you again for. I know you have a very busy schedule, so I'm thankful for that you could make it at least online. But promise me one thing: next time, you're sitting next to me again, right?
Of course, Eric, with all the pleasure. But in any case, hello from Maputo. It's the best place to be right now. I'm sorry, but you know, I'm from Lisbon, so it's great to change scenery from time to time.
Thank you so much. Okay, as said, guys, Emmanuel, I think the floor is yours, and we're gonna listen to you. Almost 1 year, when he founded the Mediterra. That's cool, huh?
Yeah, we have some busy days, and let's say we have some good fun too. So let's speak about Mediterra. I will not only speak about Mediterra, but we speak a little bit about the market too, at least our vision of the market. And let's see some fun fact maybe on what's happening in the market. So first of all, who is Mediterra? What we are doing? So Mediterra, we are a platform, a South European platform. We want to build some premium data centers in tier 2 cities. So what is a tier 2 city? It's after tier 1 cities we know for the FLAP countries, or we know about Milan, Madrid, Lisbon, which are tier 1 cities in our countries. We are speaking about tier 2 cities on digital point of view, where there is a strong interest, but not so much some of a presence. And so we are speaking about the most strategical cities we would like to cover in the countries we want to cover. We'll come back to the countries after. We are backed by a DWS fund. DWS, it's a private equity fund, which is from mainly property of a Dutch bank. So we have a great brother which is supporting us in our investment. And we are actually making some interesting point on growth in our market. Let's go to the market we would like to work. So what are we speaking about tier 2 city? We're speaking about our market. We want to cover these South European countries, speaking about Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal. So someone already said me, but Portugal is not a Mediterranean area. Indeed, Portugal, it's a big doors for Mediterranean area. And without Portugal, we are losing a lot of connectivity for South Europe first, but for Europe in general. So I am considering personally, and Carlos maybe will disagree with me, but you are the main entrance door for Mediterranean area. So why Mediterranean? Because we want to be in between the Med on the land, on the terra, so the land. And so we would like to build this with this network of data centers in these 4 countries. And we want to cover all of these tier 2 cities. We will be present in tier 1 cities too. So yes, we will be present in Paris, we'll be present in Milan, we'll be present in Madrid, we'll be present in Lisbon. But we want mainly to cover these tier 2 cities. And we want to build this with a different other capabilities. But something else, if it's coming, next one. No, I don't have any more the power. I lost my clicker. Thank you. Thank you for this. So our vision, we are looking to cover these cities. What we would like to do is to support our customer not only with space and power, but we want to bring them access to a lot of other services. The main things is people are mainly feeling me as we are doing edge data center in countries, not what we are doing. We want to bring what we are naming premium data center in the area we want to cover. So what's a premium data center? Premium data center is something I was doing in my past, as Carlos is still doing. We want to bring data center of high quality, high level, and with 5 9 capabilities of uptime. We want to bring this to our territories. And so we want to bring data center which will be able to support up to 10 megawatt of IT power to our different locations. And we will bring to this together with a set of services like connectivity, like other kind of services which are access to other countries and which have bringing service providers in our location. So Mediterranean, we're speaking about wet connectivity. And guys, all of these green arrows we are seeing in the land, that mean, in the slide, sorry, that mean we need you to be able to provide our services. So these green arrows, that mean we want to connect not only our data centers together, building our SDN between our data centers, but we want to support tier 2 location to be able to have access to a wider area. Speaking obviously about Europe, speaking about going to Middle East, so to Far East, speaking to East African coast, speaking to West African coast, so speaking to South America. This access will not be done by us. It will be done by all partners, which will bring us through wet cables access to all of this location. What we would like to become is to become a facilitator to bring access to these areas. Going quicker because I know I have some eyes looking at me to be able to respect my time. So data center collocation, so space and power, obviously, connectivity, and we want to bring something which is at the next level for customer support. What does it mean, customer support? I don't know you, but what I'm missing mainly actually in our activities, if when I have some issue, when I have some needs, when I have some capabilities, new capabilities I need to deliver, and when I need to be time to market, I need to have someone in front of me. And it's more and more missing. You have more and more this kind of automatic system supporting you. And I'm really trusting on my side that people relationship capabilities in having someone dedicated to you to work with your project. This is making the difference in between a simple project and a successful project. So we will invest a lot, and we are investing a lot in this, in having our customer support. It's not only a matter of customer support people in front of you, it's a matter of a company mindset which is oriented in giving access and partnership to our customers, being access to a wide range of knowledge, competencies, and competence center too we are developing to our customers to be able to deploy your support. Let's go to some market intelligence now. This is what's happening actually in our market in general. So let's speak about European market, but in any market in the world, what's happening actually. I'm based in some reports coming from different funds, and then will come some specific report. But we know that European market is at a turning point. Why? Because the market we knew 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, is completely different about what is shaping now in our European markets. There is fast acceleration coming from flat country. I'm listening a lot of time about people saying me, flat country are at saturation. This is why we are coming to soft European market. I disagree with that. Flat market are still continuing to grow, but they are growing at a different shape, different cadence that we are seeing the growth in our South European market. So first, there is a new shape in the market. And it's not only because of saturation coming to South European, it's because we have a lot of needs in our South European market, and these needs are coming from subsea cables industry, because we are not only serving 380, 90 million people in 27 countries in Europe, because we are serving now 3 billion people thanks to subsea cables. So European market, it's a 3 billion people market. It's not a 390 million people market. First thing. Second, hybrid cloud, I will not come back to this. You know everything about this. Third, enterprise data centers are becoming obsolete. Why? We heard this morning, again, I will not come back to blackout happening in Spain, but blackout happening in Spain make a big wake-up call to all of our final customers, enterprise-level companies. Wake up with, I am not resilient, I am not secured, I am not connected, so I am at risk. So these things will accelerate drastically the fact that I cannot continue to stand with my own private data center serving myself and being connected in a non-secure way in my customers, in my partners, in my other technology providers I need to have. I need to become resilient, so I need to change this. So we will see an acceleration in this. We need to be more efficient and more sustainable. This is true. But we need to be prepared for AI driving. I'm not speaking about the fact that as Mediterranean, we need to be able to host AI providers. Any of our digital services will become AI-enabled in the future. It's not by 10 years, it's not by 5 years, it's starting now. So if you're not starting now to see any of your IT load being AI-enabled to have new capabilities, that means you are maybe missing the next chapter of your company. So said that, rising of Southern Europe, it's not only made about the fact that we have some new needs in our country and new connectivity to new countries. It's the fact that if you're looking at these numbers, we are seeing that there is a lot of data center which are actually served in FLAP-D countries. But look at the other numbers. On the total FLAP-D, still huge part. You are seeing 72% of Europe IT is still served now. This is brand new numbers. Right? It's a new research which have been just published a few weeks ago. 72% of our IT is still on FLAP-D. What does it mean? That means that 72% of our GDP is still served by 5 countries. GDP is linked on digital. So that means I am bringing part of my GDP in the end of 5 countries. That doesn't make sense in my mind. So that means we need to have a huge acceleration in bringing our IT and our services in other countries. If I'm looking at Spanish, Portugal, Italian GDP made mainly by IT managed in 5 cities in the North European countries, that doesn't make sense for me. So I am seeing there a very big acceleration on this. Coming to the next one, let's take a deep look on Italian market. I'm living in Italy, so maybe I have some much more numbers, but I'm much more comfortable speaking about this. This is the curve we are seeing as IDA, Italian Data Center Association, study for the next future for data center industry. Private data center we're speaking about will drop down drastically. Study is going up to 2050, but look at the 2 other curves. The total curve, which is a dotted point, and the light blue, which is commercial data centers, meaning DC providers. More and more DC providers will represent the full IT load. And it will be mainly accelerated by the fact that not because you want to become more resilient, because you need more and more to be connected with other providers, you need to be connected with other countries. You need to be much more connected with service provider bringing you access to activities. This is happening, and in a nutshell, what's about Europe? Speaking about Europe, this is the last, it has been published yesterday morning. So coming on, thanks to Michael Winterson for his courtesy to bringing us access to these data. So this is UDCA study on 27 countries. On 27 countries, let's look at the big numbers. Let's not look at in any details. You have access to the slide. Big numbers meaning, look at this, for the biggest data centers, 5 to 50 and plus megawatt are representing a very few tiny part. Even if we are hearing about billions of euro investment in the biggest data centers, think on the total of 10,000 data centers, we still have near to 7,000 data centers in Europe, which are private data centers needed to make an evolution. So my feeling is if we are seeing an acceleration in curve, actually in data center investment, in data center needs of connectivity, in new backbones need to be designed, in new balance between northern countries and South European countries, we are just at the beginning. And these numbers are just showing you the fact that we are now just at the starting curve for this acceleration coming from Northern European countries to Southern European countries, and not because we are flying away from Northern countries, just because we need to repatriate and to accelerate in our local ability to deliver service to other customers, local customers, and abroad customers. Thank you for this.
Thank you. Yeah, well, no, absolutely, no, fantastic, and thank you for sharing, and again, congratulations with your almost first year of anniversary of Mediterra. So thank you so much. Let me check if there are any questions for you in the. Are you still awake, guys? Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Any questions for Manuel? Then
Too shy now.
Of course, of course. No, so what differentiates Mediterra then actually from the other guys?
This is a very good point.
I want to know. They want to know.
So Mediterra is, first of all, we are looking in being able to deploy this platform. It's not a geographical platform, even if it's seen as geographical, because we are covering South European countries. First, because we want to simplify the access to service provider. It's not as it's done up to now, is I am supporting you, dear customer, from your abroad location to go to a central location to have access to SPs, XSPs. SPs will be cloud content application, network, even network, and security service providers. As of now, in any other countries, you're in France, you're in Germany, you're in Portugal, you're in whatever country, you need to make central connectivity to service providers. We are doing the contrary. We are bringing SPs to the market. So the first thing is we want to bring service providers, SPs, XSPs, to local market. And so we want to have the ability to bring this service provider to the market. Second point, we want to support our customers in being able to see this platform as becoming their platform. So we will be able to virtualize your capabilities, your ability, and something I learned from Equinix, to be very clear, because we are doing this at Equinix at global level between countries, but it wasn't done at regional level. And something we would like to bring is ability to virtualize your presence, your connectivity, your security access, and your presence to other service providers, local service providers, from this platform, meaning you're present in one of these points, you will be virtually present in any of the other points. Having these service providers bringing to the market, so we will support local service providers to deploy their activity from their local point to any point we are serving. Because if we are doing this, that means we are not bringing service providers to a central point, but we will bring competence centers from different service providers, local service providers, not only the big names, not only the GAFA's name, but any other names. I'm much more interested in any other names than GAFA's name. And sorry for the Microsoft AWS guys in the room, but we are much more interested in other names, in letting them having deployment, development, and access to customers. So this is the main capability. You want to know more about other, let's say, advantage we have? Come to us and we'll explain you.
You see, because even tomorrow you can even get a glimpse of Mr. Becker around here. He will be here. So thank you for that. So Matthew, just to go a bit into into our discussion, what do you see actually from a liquid point of view, of course? What for you are the latest market trends and advancements actually, and also with a glimpse to AI in the data centers? What kind of trends do you see? And do you need them?
Absolutely.
Tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. So from Liquid, so Liquid is a group. It includes also as a group that is Cassava. We have also got like a data center part, which is Africa Data Center. And Africa Data Center in Africa plays a very big role in terms of providing access and connectivity, and also hosting the big players. I know, Emmanuel, you're saying you want to see everyone. You want to see everyone, but that's, I think that's a correct trend. But one thing that I might say with relation to AI, what one initiative that has been taken with ADC is that they have a working, it's actually been published, that they are working with NVIDIA to have GPUs installed in all the Africa data centers, starting with South Africa, going to Nigeria, Cameroon, and Egypt. So the main reason to do this is, well, we have AI now. And if you look at the models that we have for AI, they are trained outside Africa. I would say, yes, we know Africa is lagging behind. Most of the AI is happening, developed training outside Africa. And then the applications come to Africa to be deployed. And then there's like a gap between what has been trained and what the market has. Now imagine now, if all the AI, if all the models are trained closer to the users in Africa, that would actually make what I would call AI for Africa. So it's just like building a whole fiber network. We were building fiber network across the whole of Africa, like in 16 countries. And now we are doing that with data centers and AI. So we want to build, just as we are building networks, AI models that are fit for the purpose and for the people for Africa.
Okay, thank you. Luciano, assessing the current landscape on the and especially on the sustainability of the data centers to accommodate, of course, the increased demand that the subsea guys, they have as well. What can you share with us? What do you see around you? And what is maybe needed?
I think that the model of Mediterra is in line with what I think about the future, because the second tier city, but I live in a third tier city, I think, of 40.
Mava, it's how you look at it. If it's culinary, so if it's about food, you're one.
But the infrastructure needs to be spread across all countries. In particular, in Italy, that is very there is a very big distance from Sicily to Milan, for example, and we are very close to Africa. So from southern part of of Italy is possible with also the submarine cable to serve the northern part of the Mediterranean area. So the new applications that can need the edge data center is the present. Now we can say, or what next in the future is an higher demand of this kind of services. So from my point of view, the business model of Mediterra is very interesting. And I read something about from the LinkedIn and newspapers, but only related to the infrastructure. The idea to create a sort of marketplace of services from local company that can use the infrastructure is a bigger idea, because I think that locally there are a lot of competence that are unused from big company because they doesn't know that exist. Is the something like this is what we see in the startup community, where they can have a market working with bigger company on the open innovation subject, for example. This can be a model that can be mooted from this area, from my point of view.
Okay, thank you. Nadia, can you hear us? Nice.
Eric, I can hear you fine.
Thank you. Can you share with us?
Can you hear me?
Of course, we can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much. So I would like to see, let's say, your point of view. What kind of, let's say, challenges do you see in this in this environment? What do you see? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I would like to go back on what Matthew was talking about on the IA models and the training. And for me, this is a big challenge, and so it's good news that we are starting to build data centers in Africa that are going to be able to handle IA models that are specifically addressed to deal with African purposes and that are more close to the needs of African countries. And the thing is that, of course, we know Africa is lagging behind in some issues, but we know that we also have countries and specifically the community like the African Union looking at this because they know this is a problem. Well, it's not a problem, it's a challenge. And so I think that this will be something that will be addressed in the short term. And when I mean short term, we are thinking about a horizon of 3 to 5 years, I think, and that we will have some developments on this issue. So although we know that we don't have IA specific laws in place, we are seeing countries worried about this, concerned about this. They do not want to hinder innovation, and that's something that we have to take into consideration. So, and if we compare or if we take into account the IA Act and we think about learned lessons, we know now that some African countries are trying to implement governance models that are less burdensome than the ones that we have in the IA Act. And this is very important so that we don't hinder innovation, which is crucial for African countries. And then also what we have, and also speaking from a very African perspective, is the need to work around regulatory gray areas that that can raise challenges for interoperability between telcos that offer cloud hosting and data center that provide network services. So we have still countries in Africa that where the regulatory framework will treat data center operators the same way they treat telco operators in terms of licensing, and this creates a burdensome environment for data centers to thrive, and so this has to be reviewed if we want more data centers in Africa. And also then you have another more structural problem, which is energy. And this is something that also has to be addressed. But for now, I think that these were the main issues that I would like to address in trying to tie everything up together in what has been said so far.
Thank you, Nadia. I think so some very good points and a good overview of what we of what we see. Now, Carlos, we heard you this morning already, and you were quite clear of where you see, you know, the trends. But maybe for the people who missed it a little bit, how do you see the landscape, especially on the you know in the edge, and where do you think that we could, let's say, improve? Actually, I mean, we talked about already with Emmanuel. He is, you know, shift. I mean, I know you work together, you were colleagues, and you know he learned everything from you, right? No, just kidding. But by the end of the day, you know, you founded your own data center couple of months ago,
Back in the
right?
days,
Back
yeah.
in the days,
Yeah.
back in the days, and so. Um, but what obstacles do you see, or challenges, and how to resolve them?
Okay.
What is the way to go?
So basically trying to catch in some of the points that I heard. And first of all, congratulations, Emmanuel, really a tremendous project. And I'm extremely happy to see not only a friend, but a new player in the market. I believe if we look at the supply and the demand and how unbalanced it is, we are all happy every time we see a new operator in town. It makes sense. Second point, I believe there will be space for hyperscalers, it will be space for colocation, it will be space for edge data centers, it will be space for really a lot of different models, and some of them that we don't even know. Taking in consideration only the AI, we need really big data centers that can really train all that amazing models, and then coming to the edge to really make the inference and serve the user close where the user is immediately. It makes sense, and it seems like the path ahead. Second point, of course, having Mediterra and Equinix. Equinix, a global platform, so you have a more global geography. In Mediterra, I truly believe that you are more close to the customer, so you are there, you are his neighbor, you are probably like the mailman, you know.
Drinking coffee every morning, you know, with
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think in the right direction, no doubt about it. There's a point about the AI in Africa, and I truly believe that in that point we also have a major, I think, not only the opportunity but the duty to help. If you look at South Europe, we are seeing countries that are investing hard in energy. We have the power that it's needed for AI to work. If you look at Africa, and I'm not diminishing absolutely nothing, but I think this value I'm almost taking out of my head. But I believe that a large part of countries in Africa have less than half a megawatt for the entire population.
this is exactly
Half a gigawatt.
what
Half a
Nadia
gigawatt.
expressed as
Yeah,
well. Eh?
half a gigawatt for the entire population. So it's really difficult that Africa would start immediately from only use the apps like an end user and immediately jump over cloud and go to AI. I really found it hard to believe. So it's in our hands, and it's our duty, because we have excellent connectivity to Africa coming from the South Europe, to really help Africa, giving that
support them. Yeah.
jump ahead.
Yeah.
I truly believe, and it's an opportunity to work together, to build together, to grow together. So we couldn't be in a better moment, in a better location. That's absolutely for sure. Regarding everything about connectivity, I truly believe that we will see AI becoming more efficient, Okay, there's no way. We have seen that in all technologies. Whenever you deploy something, immediately you don't care how much watts does that takes. As soon as you go, you know, data centers to 20 years ago, PUEs of 2.5, 3, 3 kilowatts per each kilowatt of IT was ridiculous. Currently, we are at 1.5, 1.3, 1.4, 1. It's really that road for efficiency that we will see also in AI. And then I truly believe that in 2 years, we will be the two of us speaking here about the problems of connectivity in AI. Again,
Yes.
again, you know, because you will need an incredible capacity to interconnect between the workloads of AI and the data sets and the repositories that are on the cloud and probably in other locations. So the world now is busy discussing power, and we really have a power need that is something we need to solve. We need to address. We are addressing it. We are solving it. The next point will be once again connectivity. I'm truly sure it's impressive the way that Africa, all the way that Africa have done, and Liquid Telecom is a huge example, like others, like Angola Cables, like so many others. But it's incredible what the country already have done on the connectivity side, on the data center side. I believe first steps now. It's really, for now, I see really baby steps, but on the right direction. And I truly believe that there's a driver in Africa that doesn't exist in Europe. The numbers of the population and such a young people anger to really
Beautiful
use
young
IT.
population.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
If only serve Nigeria, I'll be a very healthy man. You know, instead of 10 million in Portugal, we have there something like 100 or 200 million, 200 million according to last census.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they register everybody, so probably even 200 is not, it's not enough. So I think these three trends can really be what we are seeing ahead. You know, more models, more development in Africa, mainly on the connectivity. The West, the Southwest, and this, I not say Southwest because we are already seeing things happening also in Greeks, in other locations where we didn't see nothing before, and they're starting to appear. So I think the south of Europe will be the main bridge to serve and help Africa on their next step forward. So
Okay.
very, very excited.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay, thank you. Let's get the IX guy in here, and especially on the peering side, Darwin. I mean, before I come to my actual question, actually, are these guys helping you to make sure that you can provide your services to everybody, or are they a bit lazy? What are these guys doing?
Sure, they're doing. They are
Are you
doing.
sure?
I would be lying if I would say differently.
So what kind of let's say challenges do you face? You know, in this context, what you know, what could we improve, or these guys? What could you improve actually for these guys?
Yeah,
Turn it
right.
around.
Yeah, right. So, if you look back into how IXPs were built in the past, traditional IXPs were built to make sure that networks could exchange traffic, like on airports. You arrive, you have your next flight into a new gate, and so
On
on and so
time, if
forth.
you're lucky, huh?
Yeah.
We know.
And so eventually, we need airports. We as an IXP, we need airports. We need Mediterraneans of the life. We need the Equinix of the life, long-term partners in many markets, and others in Africa as well. But more than that, we need neutrality. And that's one thing that DKIX actually stands for. Wherever we go, we do a lot of analysis on the market and data centers and fibers and whatever, but neutrality is key. Because one of the things we want to make sure is that if we put one of our equipment, it's not because we are just putting a logo of DKIX in your data center facility, for instance, but we want to make sure that business will happen not only for you, but for us, for everybody, which is sitting in there, right? And we talked about a lot of challenges. I wouldn't call it issues, like Nadia said, challenges. Like coming back to power, I remember I did a talk last year in Congo about power issues, which affected everyone. And now a year later, we saw problems in South Europe, and then we saw problems in Brazil as well. And then, if you're really building networks, if you're building your own network, if you're running a network like Liquid is doing in Africa, just make sure you don't put all the eggs on the same basket. That's a big mistake. And obviously, one can be heated and the other one could be not hit it, and eventually you have a buffer and you can, balance the traffic from A to B and so on and so forth. And so, yeah, what we did, for instance, 5 years ago when we came to Lisbon and we were working together with Carlos and his team, we started in Equinix, but we saw that the market deserved more than they have, and then eventually we went to Sines, we went to Linda Velha, but that was not just per se an expansion because we wanted to offer our services in multiple data centers, but it's also a question of redundancy, right? And DKIX will become 30 years next week. So it means to say from 1995 until now, if we were stuck just doing peering or allowing networks to jump into our airport just for peering proposals, we wouldn't be here. Let's be straight, right? So you need to invest a lot on research and development, doing a lot of studies. Innovating is crucial, is key, because our platform is not yet ready for AI, but we are working hard on that because we are seeing something which nobody knows, but there is data which will come on our way, whether it's a straight ball or a curve ball, it will hit us somewhere, right? And eventually our platforms, our boxes might be ready, should be ready for that, because we want to be closer to the end users as well. Obviously, if we talk about Africa, I always like to say we need to come from the unconnected slogan to the connected one, because as Carlos well mentioned, it's the youngest population on earth, right? And they will consume more data as anybody else maybe in the future if affordability and access allows. That's why we have guys like Liquid Telecom making sure that this happens. But for instance, we as DKIX, we invested in two major markets, and both of them have 200 million people, Congo, Kinshasa, and Nigeria in Lagos. You might ask, okay, it's trivial to go to Nigeria because it's an app just like Nairobi or just like South Africa. But if you look into the population that DRC has, and 200 million people,
Only,
and
yeah? Only.
10,
Half
10
of Europe.
exactly, 10 borders, 10 borders, right? It might not give you the results that you want to see just now, but you shouldn't look in the short term. You should look into the long term. And that's what we are doing, actually. And when you ask me in the beginning about news, that's exactly the same thing we saw in Brazil. So it took us like 3 or 4 years to do a ground analysis and to answer one question to ourselves: what problem are we going to solve in Brazil? Because obviously they have IXBR, which is the biggest in the world, right? But it's a big market to fail. If you look into Brazil and the consumption of data, it's crazy, And if you go to Brazil, we need to answer first this question. So are we going there for competition, or are we going to add value to the market? And wherever we go, we want to add value, right? And so,
And how and what do you use out of your role to bring, let's say, extra value? What do you do? What do you do for it? What differentiates you actually from the other IXs? Because there you also have your competition, right?
Sure.
Who are also looking at all the other markets. So
sure.
How do you help?
And again, from 1995 until now, one thing you need to make sure, you need to invest on research and development. You need to innovate. And so if we look into our services globally, wherever we go, we make sure that a network like Liquid Telecom, whenever it comes on board on our platform, it cannot just do one thing. It can do multiple things. It can have access to the cloud. It can have remote connections to whatever without co-locating far away to Brazil if it doesn't have the need to do so. So we just need to make sure that our customers or networks connected in our platform have more than just one option which they are used to it, right? And eventually we're going to sit down with them as well to understand, okay, so what can we do better? Obviously, right? Because the company might exist like for 30 years, but everybody's learning from each other at the end of the day. And that's why we have those kind of discussions in here, right? You were talking about the training models. Like, for us, we are a company which is looking very closely to latency. One thing is training the models, the other thing is the inference, right? So to Africa, what would you bring? Is it the right time to talk about AI in Africa? Yes or no? Or do we need to jump from the unconnected slogan to the connected slogan? We are sitting in a country with more 15 subsea cables activated today, right? And in the first panel discussion, there was someone mentioned a few countries in Africa with only one cable. I mean, we shouldn't skip steps. I mean, Africa has one good point, which is we can learn from the others and eventually apply those learnings on a very, very fast way. And then you're gonna see investments like we did in Nigeria, or like you guys did in Nigeria as well. Why? Because the market is becoming a mature market, which can accommodate everyone and where we can build business all together.
Yeah, but what I want to see is also because as Carlos mentioned, we have to support Africa. We need to help them as well, which is for our, let's be honest, also our own benefit. It's a win-win, right? It's not that we need to tell the people in Africa what to do, but we can help them to do what they would like to do. For instance, connect the unconnected, right? Especially the ones who are landlocked, right? Because it's not always easy. Also, not only with the terrestrial guys and with the data center guys, but also with the satellite guys, right? They can play a role as well. And I think it's only fair. It's only fair. Not only for the win-win situation, but it's only fair to support that as well. Because let's not forget, how much content from the African continent stays when the content is made, stays in Africa or goes first to Europe and then goes back. Some people benefit from it, I know, and I understand this. But in actual fact, if our content in Europe, and we had this, go through Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, and Stockholm, those were the 3 hubs back then, would go to the US and then come back again. So we need people like Liquid, Afrix, all those guys, all to pack together to make sure not only to connect the unconnected, because it's only fair, and to bring them the services that we all have, and will benefit from it, right?
Yeah.
Carlos?
I was just saying the recipe is quite easy because the example that you just gave, it was exactly the same in Portugal back in 15 years ago.
Exactly.
Each and every pack coming from one ISP to the other would go to Amsterdam, would go down again, and it would be delivered to my neighbor.
And I'm a Dutch guy, so I'm happy, right?
Yeah,
I was happy. For me, it was ding, 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 fine.
Absolutely, but the truth is, when we started in Lisbon the idea of the first neutral data center, and it happens the same with the peering platforms. You just bring more players to the same location, everything happens inside data center, and the success that we have in Lisbon, because it's really such a high number of networks, that the success we had back in the days. I recall that the megabyte was around 12 euros back then, and it went to 2 euros. The IP transit in Portugal became one of the lowest price in the entire Europe. So this is lessons learned for Africa. It's exactly the same. They need really to deploy exactly the same structure there. The two couldn't be more interconnected, Mediterranean and Africa. I truly believe that we are talking about the bridge and the bridge to the future.
Yeah, exactly. Nadia, you want to bump in?
Yes, specifically on this subject, I think that we are seeing improvements in Africa, and here I think that Darwin can also chip in. But I think that the situation is changing. So let's not forget that Angola has one of the largest IXPs in Africa right now that handles and Angola, not we, I cannot say we because I'm not at Angola Cables anymore, but Angola has a submarine cable that handles a lot of traffic and content that goes through the African continent. So, and this was done because of investment. So it's very important to have public funding for these kinds of projects, which was also the case in Portugal, for example. So, and then for Portugal, it was the PRR that allowed for example, the Start Campus project in Sines. And then you have also African countries now adopting the public funding scheme to develop infrastructure necessary to allow for the content, African continent, to stay in the continent. And you have, for example, Raxio building neutral data centers in African countries. It's the case in Mozambique, where I'm currently at. And this is very important to attract operators and to have content staying in the continent, and to develop the connectivity ecosystem within Africa. And regarding energy, of course, Europe can help, but we also have to bear in mind that there are African countries that have the conditions to build energy infrastructure to provide energy to other countries. So I can think of Angola, I can think of Mozambique, for example, that have they have the means to build the infrastructure that is necessary to provide energy to other countries. If I think it's just a question of course, I think that there are synergies that can happen between specifically Southern Europe and the African region. But I think that there is also the time for Africa to develop their own policies that are based on a very local perspective and need partnering, of course, with those that are more advanced and that can, of course, bring expertise and capabilities to the continent.
And also investments.
Of course, investment necessary.
No. Okay. Thank you. Luciano, what can these guys do better?
Discuss?
But what can these guys do better?
Yeah.
Tell us. Share with us. I mean, this guy's sitting here. This guy's sitting here. You were just telling the beautiful story about Meditera, which is a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And it's only the birth of the beautiful story. But what can they do better? You know, what do you want out of it?
One of the topic is the power. We listen about early in the morning and also regarding the Africa region. Again, I can say that in the south part of Italy, we are very rich about this. Apulia, Calabria, Sicily are landing space where green energy is produced. We can plan to have facilities like edge data center in this area, also benefit from the power production locally, because also the electricity need grid to be to transport the energy. So
sure.
The Milan area, the Rome area, as Emmanuel said, is going to be saturated. No? So in the south part, we can have production of energy and IXP, not only DECX, but also Namex platform in Italy, Milan Internet Exchange also in Italy are deploying sort of edge IXP. So everything is going in this direction. And the third ingredient, I say, can be the submarine cable, in particular to back the need from this area to go to Central Europe and start to stay in the Mediterranean area from the south part of Europe. And then when the infrastructure will be ready in Africa, can move also down and stay local, because the traffic needs to be kept in local.
Okay, thank you. Coming back to the beginning from to Emmanuel, because you mentioned the tier 2 cities. Now, Madrid is a tier 1, Amsterdam is a tier 1, Paris is a tier 1, you know, Lisboa is a tier 1. What for you are where can we expect you? Is that is Barcelona tier 2? Is Roma tier 2? Is you know? Tell us. Well, where can we? I mean,
Indeed.
what are your plans?
No, exactly that. So if we are speaking about starting with the flap country already have their first tier 2 cities. And if you are looking for Paris, the first tier 2 city is Marseille. If you are looking for Frankfurt, the first tier 2 city was first Düsseldorf, then Hamburg, and now it's becoming Berlin. If you're looking for London, it's Manchester, and then it's becoming to other place. If you're looking to all of this Amsterdam, you have some tier 2 cities too, which are developing. So in our countries, in South European countries, we have the first tier 2 cities for Italy, it's Roma. It's not because it's the capital, because it is where you have, I'm always repeating the same thing, you know, but you have 3 KPIs. We are respecting all of us in our digital industry. We need to have density of population, density of GDP, and density of digital actors. And this is where you are concentrating it. You are concentrating you have a concentration of needs. And so tier 2 cities are always starting in any country. And the same in US, it's the same in African countries, it's the same in APAC, it's the same in any part of the world. You are starting with a tier 1 city because you need to start somewhere and you need to start where you have the most needs. And then you are becoming a magnet effect. This magnet effect is starting to have magnet, meaning the rest of the country, so every part of the country need to go to this place to be able to access to services. And then you are starting to have this magnet counter effect. It will not change because you need to have this magnet effect in your country. If not, your country is out of scale of digital globalization. After that, you are coming to the first tier 2 city. If we're speaking about Italy, the second tier 2 city, it wasn't Torino or it wasn't Naples as it seems to be. Now, it became Genoa. Why? Because of subsea cables. Because Genoa became a city with 3 billion people in a nutshell, because you had 2 Africa landing here, and then you have other cables coming. If you're speaking about Lisbon, Lisbon is not a city of few million people. Lisbon is a city of billion people. If you're speaking about Barcelona, it's not anymore a city of a couple of it's less than 2 million people, the great Barcelona area. No, it's a city of 100 million people. So tier 2 cities are deploying not only because your local needs, not only because you want to flew away from a tier 1 city, it's because you have access to other needs. And you are becoming not only a door, because Lisbon is not anymore a door, it has been in the past. When my dear friend Carlos started his activity, he was mainly doing in-out traffic. And then Lisbon became a stopover traffic, not only a pass-through traffic, meaning this traffic is starting, coming here, having concentration of this traffic, and then you are starting to have local digital transformation, storage, securization, and then you have new activities coming, and then you are starting to serve from not only pass-through, stopover, transforming, getting it to someone else. You are starting to be a service, so what I'm naming a competence center. So tier 2 cities is developing drastically. I am feeling in a first nutshell, that means 2 years' time, we'll deploy in any other countries. And in any other countries, you are seeing 6 to 7 tier 2 cities deploying. And then you're already starting, and then you have a lot of tier 2 cities. It's like a lot of people are seeing this as a pyramid. I prefer to see this as a sphere. Why? Because a pyramid, that means we are concentrating it on coming to tier 1 cities and using it from this. No, I'm seeing this as a sphere. Why? Because you need a tier 1 city with a lot of concentration of big actors. We need it in a country. And then you are deploying it in the country, and you are deploying some competence center, service centers in your country, and then you will be able to have these new services coming. And this is where totally agree with you, Carlos, and we didn't agree before, I can tell you.
And I loved it.
We didn't agree before, but I am totally aligned with Carlos. Connectivity will start again like hell. We are seeing data center connecting. Do you know a car without wheel? It's nothing. Do you know a data center without connectivity? It's a nonsense. So we need any power you are seeing in the map, any kind of things I show you as numbers, that mean connectivity. So don't mess with this. We are transforming energy in connectivity. We are transforming energy in digital. That means connectivity. So if we are a need of energy, we have a need of connectivity. Transform gigawatt of power in connectivity. You will understand what is your future.
You know how I would explain this to the young people, you know, under 20? No connectivity, no cell phone. They would die, right? They would die. They would die. Okay, we'll do, let's say, a quick closing round with whatever you want to say to the audience, whatever you want to share. Carlos, if I may start with you.
Okay, so one point that we didn't address about Africa, and that's important. It's the cost of capital. Even for entrepreneurs like myself or Emmanuel, we know that if we want to start a project in Europe, capital is almost unlimited, and the cost is really attractive. As soon as you cross the Mediterranean and you cross the border in Ceuta, you know what happens. Okay, so it's hard. So when Nadia was saying that Africa also needs to set their own rules, it's true. But we need to work together. I think we need to work together, and not only on a single direction. There is, for instance, an incredible project of being deploying right now photovoltaic on the south of Morocco to interconnect with UK through a submarine cable, and it's an 11 gigawatt capacity. So it can go both ways, you know. There's true that there is not enough power there to run AI already. Even Nigeria has something like a production of 12 gigawatts. In Portugal, we have 20. And imagine the difference between the population. So there are all these asymmetries that we really need to overcome. Portugal has a long tradition on the connectivity to the entire west coast of Africa. We have been doing so since ever. I truly believe that is a major opportunity to develop not only with countries where we have the similitude in language, of course, with Angola and Mozambique, but to the entire west coast of Africa. I truly believe that Lisbon plays an absolutely major role. I will end exactly with the words of Emmanuel. We are not serving 10 million people inside of Portugal. We are really serving half of the world on the South Atlantic. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I think collaboration is going to be key. Collaboration is key already for everybody, right? And obviously, um, we need to share our success and failure cases with each other. You know, I come from a country, when I went back after my studies to Angola, I come from a country where the price per megabit back then in 2012 was $700 per meg. So you could imagine that nobody, if you didn't have the means to afford it, you wouldn't have internet access, right? And eventually you start thinking about strategic ways of decreasing that, like going edge, you know, putting all the content closer to the end user. And again, you know, you might have hubs where you want to be there, like South Africa, closer to you, because you might not have everything in your own country. But certainly we need to think about data sovereignty. Data centers need to be close to the civilization, and we need to attract, or Africa needs to attract, you know, investments, as you said, because we really need to forget the unconnected slogan to the connected one, you know, because at the end of the day, the internet is a single playground where we all are, right? And eventually, if someone on Asia Pacific can work together and collaborate with someone in Africa, exchange use cases, or in Portugal, or whatever, you know, for the better of the continent or for the better of both parties, why not?
You know, food and water, but also internet for everybody, all the time, for free. That would be nice. Matthew.
I echo the same sentiments of working together for one global world. Let me just throw in some figures so that I contextualize where subsea data centers and internet exchanges and ISP come in. So I'll give like 20, 40, 40. So 40% of my traffic that I save as an ISP to my eyeballs is coming from peering, whether it's peered in Africa or in Europe, but it's also 40%, over 40% actually comes from peering. Then the other 40% comes from the CDN, from cached content, because I got like a lot of cloud providers who put CDNs on my network. So that's more than 40% comes from there. Then less than the 20%, less than 20% remaining comes from the traditional transit providers, your level 3s, Cogent, all those. So we see more and more, this is like something that we started 15 years ago, promoting within Africa for internet exchange peering and content peering in Africa. So it's now we are reaping the fruits now, about 15 years later. And so now with the AI, what we've been talking about, it looks like more and more content will be delivered. So it will be even more important that we collaborate, as he's been saying, that we build the subseas together, the data centers, and also the infrastructure across even Africa to have one big working ecosystem.
Okay, thank you. Nadia, what do you want to share? What are your thoughts for the audience? What's your message?
I think that from my perspective, and now adding a little bit of legalese, I think that one of the things that is very important to highlight is the question of content traffic and the connectivity and the data flows. So it's very important to highlight, and of course that I agree with Carlos that Portugal is a very important hub and can be a major player in this specific issue of connectivity between Africa and Europe. And in this aspect, Portugal even has a very friendly framework in what concerns data flow, because we don't have a data localization framework that is very strict, also in line with the EU regulations. And whenever we have the need to exchange traffic with Africa, if African countries have the same level of compliance, which is becoming the trend because everyone is adopting a very GDPR approach in terms of level of compliance. This means that for those industries where data localization is not mandatory, Portugal can in fact be a very important connectivity hub. So I think this is very important to highlight. So this EU Lusophone nexus, and we also have to highlight the fact that the submarine cables that we have in Portugal and that link Portugal, Brazil, Africa are very important, and these connections are opportunities for the Lusophone world, Angola, Mozambique, Cape Verde, to route traffic via Portugal. And this leverages on the robust protections and connectivity that we have in Portugal. But this also means for African countries the need to adopt regulatory frameworks. So this is a challenge that has to be brought into the equation. In terms of data, but also, again, touching upon the question of how to treat the implementation of data centers and the question of edge, how to promote the implementation of more data centers in Africa also, because this is necessary, and to think of solutions that will balance more the picture for data center operators in Africa. So this is what I would like to add to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Nadia. Luciano?
I close with the remarks regarding the potential of internal demand from the government in Europe, because too much technology, American technology is used, and this is not good for the data center community in Europe, because in this case we say we are only a facility, but with technology company in all Europe, we can provide services like American player. So I hope in the next year, when we will again here, we speak about something that is changing also in this area, because it's important to have a sort of a power to the market.
Okay, so next year I have to invite Javier from Nokia again to come here, right? Is that what you're saying? Oh, gee, I see it coming already. Javier, see you next year, man. Okay, so the famous last words from Emmanuel. And Emmanuel, thank you again for sponsoring this session. So, floor is yours.
So thank you all. We are not discovering this, but let's say we are just underlying it together with there is no digital systems which is one fit all. It's not existing. It never exists. It will not exist. So we need, Carlos, you name it, we need some super big centralized system to be able to serve AI needs, which is this horizontal AI needs. And we need these AI providers. Both these providers can be from a country or from another country, but we need to have this access. We need to have a big cloud service providers. And so we need to have hyperscale data center to serve this. And we need to have connectivity to serve this kind of ability. We have some other needs which are coming from over cities, over areas, over region, and we are defending this in Meteora in saying together with our brothers in being able to deliver digital services with local providers and with central providers, giving access to one and giving voice to the others. What is in between is we need to have this connectivity. So we need to have services for you, Darwin, and from your friends. We need to have services from central and local connection. But so the other things I was saying is without wet community, we are alone in Europe. So Europe, again, I spoke about this, we are less than 400 million people in a 9 billion world area. Do you really think that we are alone in working? No, there is no alone world. There's no alone countries. There's no alone providers. So we are a good provider of services. We are a provider in Europe of quality services, and we are able to deliver new services to other services. But again, I'm coming to you, Matthew, I'm coming to you, Nadia. There is some very promising market that don't need to rely only on us. And my expectation is to see more and more local services, local providers, local activities coming. I'm not feeling, maybe in the first way, we'll be delivering services from Europe. This way we'll have a lot of connectivity, meaning in this sense, north to south. But I'm much more expecting in this year, that means from now to next year, guys, we will come back again and we'll speak again, and you will start serving us, you will start giving us services. I'm not seeing this as an invasion of data coming from other space. I am much more seeing that an exchange of data, an exchange of activity between us. So my expectation is seeing rising services coming from us to other countries, coming from other countries to us. And then we will make something which will be quite unique in this area, med area, with I am truly thinking that we can become the most important data exchange area in the world. I'm not speaking about not only a transatlantic or a trans-Pacific area of exchange. I am really thinking about this not only because there is geopolitical reason for this, we need to be linked together, but it's because we have promising market and ability to deliver this together. So again, the first word I was using at the beginning, coming back to this one, collaboration is the key.
And with those famous words, I would like to close. But before you stop clapping your hands and stamping your feet because you're happy to get out of here, I know. Listen, at 7 o'clock we are waiting you. Actually, you know that there's a beach bar called Gloria, right? Gloria. So as from 7 o'clock, you're more than happy there to come and you know, to have a drink, to listen to some music, have some fun. Third part of the day, okay? So, and even if you want to have a coffee, I'm available there for a cup of coffee. So, so would like to thank, of course, my fellow panelists, Carlos, Darwin, Matthew, Luciano, and of course, Emmanuel. I would like to thank all in the back because it's only made possible through the lady, no, not you, the lady in the back who makes sure that you can hear us, that you can see us. And of course, I would like to thank my colleagues back in Berlin, but foremost Aurelia here from the Carry community to make everything possible here. And Nadia, thank you.
Yes.
No, thank you so much for making the time and your availability to join
Thank you
us.
for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, thank you so much. And with that, guys, we close the first day. Tomorrow again, 4 panel discussions, so you can get far more information and insights. So thank you so much. And with my panelists, I'll say